The views expressed in this podcast are those of the Pop Culture Junkie expressing them, and not those of the Pop Culture Entertainment Group. Whether or not they are true, which they probably are, don't sue us.
Pop Conspiracy Junkies.
Welcome to the Pop Conspiracy Junkie Podcast. And yes, you heard that right. We are a conspiracy theory podcast now because we want to try something different.
Yeah, I think it's time for a change.
Honestly, I think the pandemic is really responsible.
The pandemic's responsible for everything. I mean, how many more times can they postpone Black Widow?
That's still happening? I didn't know that.
At some point.
My sources say it is never going to happen.
So all us junkies got together. We decided we're going to try to figure out a new direction for the show.
And we thought that being a Pop Conspiracy Junkie podcast would be super duper fun because we are all bringing our own conspiracies to the table and throwing them out there and discussing them and learning something new that we did not know before.
And then we have to get back to why they're really postponing Black Widow.
I think it's because they're letting me catch up on everything and the whole world so I can finally lead up and be completely ready for Black Widow's premiere.
There you go.
That's obviously why.
Oh, for sure. I talked to them last week and they're like, okay, we'll just keep postponing. That's totally fine, Nicole. I'm like, thank you so much.
She talked to the powers that be.
They're trying to find a way to break the news to Scarlett Johansson that she's been replaced by Shauna. So,
yes.
Absolutely. That's what all this training is for.
All right, enough Black Widow talk. Who wants to get us started?
Well, I've got a couple conspiracies that I could share with you guys that I think are pretty fascinating, but I'm going to let you pick. So, do you want to hear one about vampires or one about murder?
Murder.
Murder.
Yeah, let's go with murder. I do like vampires a lot, though, but let's do some killing.
All right. Murder it is. Those true crime podcasts, they always make a killing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you may or may not know this, but I am low-key fascinated with the Kennedys. I've watched tons of documentaries, and every time there's a mini series or a movie about a Kennedy, I'm the first one to see it. I've always found it fascinating that my mom watched the coverage of JFK getting shot on TV. It's just always been really, really interesting to me. And in addition to that whole era, I've also always been really interested in the Rat Pack and Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra, that whole thing. And her death was ruled a probable suicide by drug overdose. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people believe that she was murdered. And just recently, there has been a lot of evidence to the belief that she was, not only was she murdered, but she was murdered by Bobby Kennedy.
Go on.
Marilyn, as we know, had an affair with JFK, but it's also believed that she had an affair with Bobby Kennedy and with her psychiatrist, and that they all essentially got together, were co-conspirators, along with Peter Lawford, who was in the Rat Pack and was kind of the liaison between Marilyn and Bobby's affair. Supposedly they had their affair in the guest room of his apartment.
You have a liaison to your affair. Oh my God.
I mean, you have to.
Do you want to be the guy who helps us out with our affair? Okay, sick. Perfect.
So, yeah, apparently they were co-conspirators in the plot to kill Marilyn. And there's a book called The Murder of Marilyn Monroe that was written by Richard Buskin, who's a New York Times bestselling author, and Jay Margulis, who's an investigative reporter and Marilyn Monroe expert. And they come with some pretty heavy evidence, including a witness who was working as an ambulance attendant, as one of the EMTs that was called to her house. And he claims that he saw her psychiatrist, her doctor, stab her in the heart with a giant needle and inject her with, fatal injection. And that's what killed her, not her drug overdose.
Wow.
Interesting.
And the plot thickens. I mean, like, the more you dive into it, like, apparently she had a little red diary and it was full of all the Kennedys' secrets, and she was threatening to expose them. And as you may or may not know, JFK was a big-time druggie. He took a lot of drugs for various ailments. He had all sorts of diseases and things. But, like, by today's standards, I mean, he was basically on meth, like, 24/7.
I had no idea about that part. That's crazy.
Yeah. He was, like, high as a kite. And Bobby Kennedy covered it up. So there's already precedent for his family covering it up and having tons of secrets that they don't want to get out. So I'm a big-time believer in the Kennedy plot to murder Marilyn Monroe. And I think that she was a victim of a powerful conspiracy to cover up the truth about the Kennedy family. And as we know, Bobby and John were shot later, and obviously the Rat Pack has been involved in, you know, Frank Sinatra's people whacked, other people. So there's precedent. It's not unheard of. And I think Marilyn was murdered, you guys.
I'm convinced.
Whoa.
Yes,
So
you got me
this
convinced.
is a needle that was stabbed directly into her heart.
Yeah. Yeah, supposedly they went to her place, her apartment, to look for the little red diary. And according to the book, according to the latest conspiracy, they actually made a concoction of drugs and forcefully gave her an enema of these drugs to try to kill her.
Was she already, like, laying down when they stabbed the needle in her?
Yeah.
Like,
so they tried to kill her with an overdose enema. And then they tried to look for the diary. And then when the ambulance came, she was still alive. This ambulance attendant, this witness, he says that he revived her and she was still alive. And then that's when her doctor was like, "Step aside, you guys," stabbed to the heart and killed her.
Wow.
Well, those are some heavy claims.
Yeah. And the red diary has never been seen. No one knows where it is or what happened to it.
ooh, someone find the little red diary of Kennedy's secrets, please.
There is a girl on TikTok who looks exactly like Marilyn Monroe, and she lives in Marilyn Monroe's old house. So maybe we should reach out to her. Maybe the red diary's in there.
It's in the walls, girl.
Oh man, that's crazy. That like whole thing about the needle. There's like other conspiracies that are like similar to that. Like Suge Knight, like there's a conspiracy theory that like Suge Knight injected HIV into Eazy-E.
What?
And then there's like this movie, Straight Outta Compton. I think there's like a part there where they kind of like insinuate that.
I've never heard that. It reminds me of like Michael Jackson, like his doctor, like being involved in his death, though. I don't know. Supposedly.
Yeah, Nicole, I know you have a theory about the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
I do. My conspiracy theory is that our boy MJ is still alive. And I'm not talking Michael Jordan, because he's obviously still alive. Okay, so just a little background. Michael Jackson died on June 25th, 2009. He died of acute propofol and some other things that were in his body. He apparently died at his house.
So his death was like related to drugs, right? Or like misdiagnosis or something?
Yeah, his body went into cardiac arrest, and that was the initial cause of death. And his doctor was believed to have given him the drugs. So kind of like the same thing. But I think that was proven to be true, that his doctor did inject him with drugs, and that ended up killing him.
Yeah, wasn't there like a court case? Like I feel like his doctor was like sued or something for malpractice or manslaughter.
Yeah, so his doctor did end up going to court.
Why do you think he still exists?
I got you. So, to start us off, on his way to the hospital, he was put in the ambulance. Obviously, he was dead. But once his ambulance arrived at the hospital, he was driven through like the back way of the hospital. So nobody in the public could really see him. He was taken the back way. Everything was hidden. But there's a video of a figure walking out of the ambulance, and it looks like Michael Jackson to a T. It was the same exact ambulance he was put in. And you see him getting out of the back of the ambulance and walking through the back door of the hospital. His funeral had a closed casket. And there is a picture that was across the internet, and you could see a body in the casket.
It was like a darker skinned man in the casket.
And
okay.
I'm looking up the picture right now, and looks absolutely nothing like Michael Jackson.
Interesting.
So they opened his casket?
It was a closed casket at the funeral, so I don't know how it was open. I don't know if they just like opened it for a quick sec.
Maybe for like a viewing.
Yeah. And then there's also a picture going around the internet of Paris Jackson, his daughter. She was like taking a selfie in the car or whatever. And then in the corner of the picture, you could just see like a figure, and it was Michael Jackson's face.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to Google that right now.
And it was taken after his death.
Okay.
Because you could totally tell, because it was 2009, and I believe her and I are the same age. So in 2009, I was 11. I was 11 12 years ago, so she would have been 11 as well. And she definitely did not look 11 in the picture. She looks about 21, maybe.
Oh, man, yeah. That's a big contrast. You can definitely tell somebody.
This picture is too dark. I need to be like on a CSI, like enhance that, zoom, enhance that.
And also, some people say that Dimitri D was the person who died instead of Michael Jackson, and Dimitri was the one that was taken to the UCLA hospital and admitted under the name Soul. So I believe he's alive, and then there's so many impersonators that are about, like, impersonating Michael Jackson, and there's a few that look very, very believable.
Yeah, they do that like in resorts and stuff, like all over the world. Like there's like impersonators, like and they look like Michael Jackson. They dance like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you think that Michael Jackson is actually having this career in Vegas as a Michael Jackson impersonator? And everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. Spot on.
I have a theory. I believe there are a handful of celebrities who are not actually dead, like Princess Diana, Tupac, and Michael Jackson, and more, who are not actually dead and are living on a private island somewhere.
I definitely think Michael Jackson's dead. I feel like he's the kind of celebrity that would benefit from faking their death. I don't know. I feel like there was just too much. He was a celebrity since a child.
Exactly. And he had so many allegations against him with sexual assault and stuff. So I think he just wanted to start new, start fresh. Not that you could start new from sexual assault. That's a very big claim.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He wanted to go hide and start like a side life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I personally think he is still alive. So Michael Jackson, if you are out there, expose yourself.
Come on the show, man.
Please don't expose yourself.
Don't expose yourself, Michael.
Not like that. Not like
Enough
that.
of that, Michael Jackson.
Not like that.
Down, boy. No. No.
I really hope you
That's
didn't
why
hear me just
they're all
snort.
on a nudist island together.
Exactly. There you go.
Dude, if
you go.
I was like pretending to be like faking Shauna's death and then I was actually living on an island, I would never wear clothes again. Never. Oh my God. Absolutely
Especially,
naked
like,
all the time.
Could you imagine like Michael Jackson and then like Anna Nicole Smith on the same island together? I mean, yeah.
Oh, I
they'd
love
be naked all
Anna
the time.
Nicole Smith. Even more than she
24/7.
already was.
Yeah, exactly. And she was mostly living on a private island anyway. She lived like in tiny Nassau, Bahamas. So
God, I
it'd
loved
be
her
an
reality
easy,
show.
seamless transition.
Totally off topic, but her reality show was just iconic TV gold back in the day.
See, I feel like all those people have been murdered, like every single one. I feel like Michael Jackson was murdered.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like
Anna
they were
Nicole
every
Smith,
single one.
I definitely think Brittany Murphy was murdered. Absolutely.
Oh, dude, I forgot about Brittany Murphy.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God, I used to love
wow,
Brittany
that's right.
Murphy. Murdered.
Yeah, there's so many pop conspiracies like that have just been going on since like the beginning of time. It's so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I was like looking for some, and there's like from way back, like Shakespeare being a fraud. My partner Bree, she was talking about Edgar Allan Poe and like his mysterious death. And I think I've also like heard like Walt Disney freezing his body.
Oh,
so that he
yeah,
can,
I've heard about
be
that one.
revived. Yeah, and I was like trying to look into that, but I don't know. he was apparently like cremated. Like I found some place that says that he was cremated.
I
His
also heard
body
another
was
one that he
announced.
only froze his head and that his body was cremated. So he has like his frozen brain somewhere.
See, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a Simpsons episode based on that. Like Mr. Burns freezes his head and then they attach it to a little like spider robot body later on.
Yeah,
so
like
he can come back to life.
Futurama, all of them
Yeah.
have like, it's Nixon is the president, but it's just his head in a jar.
Oh man.
Have you guys heard of like the 27 Club? Where like all these different celebrities died at 27 years old. And it's so many of them that it's just like Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Robert Johnson, Janis Joplin. So many of them just died at 27 mysteriously. I mean, a lot of it was like drug overdoses, but it's like they're all a member of the 27 Club.
Do you think it's like intentional? Like, oh, I hit 27 and I want to be part of the 27 club, so I got to OD now? Or is it just like one of those universe, interference
I feel
type
like it would
things?
be hard to say because, you just never know what somebody is going through, And it's just, but yeah, it's so ironic that they all pass at 27. Like, that's a very, yeah. And these are like significant people. Yeah. I don't know. I'm one of the people that thinks Tupac is dead. I know he's dead. To me, it doesn't make sense for him not to be dead.
Yeah.
I feel like he was such a powerful person, so impactful that there would be no, I don't know. I think he had so much to accomplish. And I think the FBI, the United States government, was behind the murder of Tupac Shakur, which also led to the murder of Notorious B.I.G.
Interesting.
Because they were like trying to like tie it up between like Tupac and Biggie, like this beef that they had.
Yeah, the East Coast, West Coast battle.
Yeah, but I guess this was like personal, I guess. There was like a time when Tupac went to New York and he was in a studio session with Biggie. And then when Tupac left the studio session, he got attacked. He got shot at. He survived and all, but people were telling him that it was Biggie's people that like shot at him. And so like, people like are saying all this, but like Biggie denies it. Biggie always denied it. It was just like, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. That's why I think like it was part of like some sort of like government thing. And I was like looking a little more into this because I was just like, I'm just convinced. I'm convinced 100%. Like I said, he's a very impactful person. Like he's motivating and like, they wanted to stop him because of the music that he was putting out. And that's stuff that's happened before. Like they've always been doing that with like Billie Holiday and like other like artists, like even just like NWA, like they try to stop
Black artists
and just, people like protesting.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They target Black artists. And the thing about Tupac, he had relatives that were part of the Black Panther Party. So including his mother. So he's getting this knowledge. Like, I feel like the government saw that as a threat. So in his Tupacalypse Now album, it came out in 91. It was like heavily on like police brutality and like how we're like the product of oppression and pretty much encouraging people to fight back. And so I'm about to like lay down a couple examples just because I want to like show evidence. Like I feel like just back up why the government felt threatened that Tupac was gonna pretty much like take over. So he's talking about like police brutality and like oppression and all. And there's this one song called "Trapped." It's about being trapped in an environment that is built and controlled by America. And there's a line that says, 9mm kicking, thinking about what the streets do to me. Because they never talk about peace in the Black community, which is facts.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about how like it's, there's always been laws that like directly like limit the progress of Black Americans. And like these ideas, these laws, they're inherited. And like whether or not they're like laws that are like changed or whatever, these are like they exist right now and they continue to like limit, these communities. And, because people don't want to switch. They're afraid of like the power being taken away from them. Mm-hmm. But then there's another song called I Don't Give an F. And he talks about like cops harassing them. Cabs don't stop for him. People looking at him weird at grocery stores. And there's another line in this one where he says, Mama told me there'd always be days like this, but I'm pissed because it stays like this. nothing's changed. It's going back to being trapped. And in the same song, I Don't Give an F, he literally says F you to San Francisco Police Department, the Marin County Sheriff Department, the FBI,
Just
the CIA,
name dropping.
Bush, America, and everybody else has done him wrong. Like literally, that's literally who he's pointing out in that song. He literally targets them and they are threatened. I think what actually scared them the most is him mobilizing people. So there's a song, it's called Words of Wisdom, that's also on Tupacalypse Now. And it's about, like I mentioned, mobilizing people to fight for justice. He's like motivating and inspiring people and talking about, the government being against blacks. And he mentions MLK, Malcolm X, and talks about how like we need more education because there's more to life than just poverty. And I think there's like this chunk that I feel probably like did like flip the switch, like was the trigger to be like, yo, we need to stop this guy. It goes, based upon the strength of a nation, conquer the enemy armed with education, protect yourself, reach for what you want to do, know thyself, teach by what we've been through, armed with the knowledge of the place that we've been, no one will ever oppress this race again.
Dang.
Like he's literally saying, yo, let's take this country now. But, this country's been for selected few for a very long time.
Oh,
like I said, the government's been trying to stop black artists forever. Like I mentioned Billie Holiday because there was that United States first Billie Holiday movie that came out. That was pretty much the government trying to stop Billie Holiday from singing Strange Fruit. It's, pretty much the same thing with like Tupac. He's like, telling people about the reality that like he sees.
He's dropping too many truth bombs. We gotta shut him down.
Okay, this reminds me of three things. One is I'm teaching Fahrenheit 451 to my students right now, which is all about like censorship and the dangers of like, censoring messages and things like that and how the government can like try to control stuff like that. So it's been really interesting like having that conversation with them. So this totally reminds me of that. It also reminds me of Eminem more recently when Eminem was dropping a bunch of bars about Trump and how Trump was like doing the same type of thing, like calling for like boycotts of Eminem and Eminem was saying like he was like being targeted like by Trump and he's like just for like songs that he was making and he's like really like I'm a threat to you, like are you for real? And then it also reminds me of a Drunk History episode that I watched where I learned about the FBI and how J. Edgar Hoover had targeted Martin Luther King Jr. because he thought that he was a commie. And
oh my gosh.
So they were trying to take down MLK through like wiretaps and stuff because they were like, oh, he's going to push the communist agenda and blah, 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 blah. And so like, yeah, the FBI like specifically targeted, like we all know about Malcolm X and all that kind of stuff, obviously, because he was a lot more, kind of in your face as far as his messaging. And so we all knew about like the government and how they all felt about Malcolm X. But we sometimes like to look at history and be like, oh yeah, MLK, like we got a holiday for him, kumbaya. But like in reality, people were just as threatened by him, back then.
I mean, people like to kind of whitewash the message that MLK has, and like every day or every MLK day posts like all of his la-di-da stuff about peace and things. But like he was definitely like hated back when he was like speaking truth out there. So
people, it's like it's been happening, and so there's this a book called The FBI War on Tupac and Black Leaders by John Potash, I think. But in there, he like lists like, I guess there's like 100 interviews and FOIA released CIA, FBI documents and like court transcripts that like back up this claim that the government, the FBI killed Tupac. When it happened, they brought in Biggie, they made it look like black on black crime, and then they're just like, okay, it's over.
That's always the narrative, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Hi. I'm Haley the Brave, teacher and mom by day, cosplayer and pop culture junkie by, well, also by day. I'm obsessed with all things fandom and I love to talk about it. So join me and some of my friends as we geek out about TV, movies, music, and all the awesome things that make life worth living. Listen to my podcast, 30 Nerdy and Thriving, available now on all major streaming platforms.
I'm going to drop something on you guys right now, and I want you to tell me if you're convinced or not, all right? Okay.
I'm ready.
So our story starts in 1998 when a little girl named Avril Lavigne won a singing contest. So she embarked on a life of a songstress from Canada. She got a contract with $1 million deal, music mogul L.A. Reid. Signed lots of biggies back in the day. So Avril Lavigne, we all know her from singles like Skater Boy and Complicated. All of a sudden, she starts dropping songs like Hello Kitty, You're So Pretty Kawaii, and Hey, you, I Don't Like Your Boyfriend. Avril, what's up?
Yeah, that was the jam, though.
Yeah, but like, why did she change from little quote-unquote punk rock skater girl to pink tutus? It's because it's not really Avril Lavigne. The real Avril Lavigne died. Avril Lavigne had a body double like a lot of celebrities do. A lot of celebrities, I mean, obviously like Paris Hilton has even said that she has body doubles, or she'll put blonde wigs on her friends and hand them one of her dogs and the paparazzi will go chase them. Supposedly Avril had a body double and her name was Melissa Vandella. There's even a picture of Avril at a photo shoot with the name Melissa scribbled on her hand. When Avril Lavigne died, they panicked. She was so popular and so much money was wrapped up in this contract with L.A. Reid that they just put Melissa in the spot. And that's when her music style totally changed. Melissa wanted to release the music she wanted to, but she had to pretend to still be Avril Lavigne. There's pictures of like people saying that the spots on Avril Lavigne's faces have changed. Like her freckles have moved places. So I don't know.
Do you think that was all part of a plan? Like, yo, I'm this, body double, and I'm here living in the shadow, and
it was Melissa's plan all along. Maybe.
You never know.
I don't know. And which one of them was married to Chad Kroeger that whole time? I mean, I feel bad for whichever one that was.
I'm starting to mildly be convinced, but I'm going to propose a similar alternative theory, which is that Avril Lavigne didn't die. She just wanted to step back out of the spotlight and live her life. And so she inserted this girl and then came back and took her spot. And here's why.
Okay.
You're right. She released the bubblegum pop music, married to Chad Kroeger, not punk rock at all.
Right. She was with the Sum 41 guy and then married Chad, which was much more punk rock.
Not punk rock. But now she's collaborating with Youngblood, MGK, and she's dating Maud's son, who is gross and grungy and punk rock. So she's gone back to her roots. It's now her again. It's like
where's
Padme
Melissa
Queen
now?
Amidala situation.
On the island with Michael Jackson.
Yes, Melissa is naked on the island. Oh my God.
Shout out, dude. She gets to go to Naked Island.
Oh my God. I want to go to Naked Celebrity Island. Take me. Okay.
This is reminding me of that Michael Bay movie, The Island, where they're like, "You're going to the island." Like I could just see the lottery
about that movie,
and you're getting drawn to go.
It's spoiler.
Awesome.
They were like swapping out their body parts for like rich people, right? Oh my God,
highly underrated film,
dude. That's an Ewan McGregor movie, right?
Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson in the height of their hotness.
You just blew my mind. I'm going to watch that movie this weekend. I totally forgot about that movie. So yes, Avril Lavigne is either dead or went into hiding and then came back out. But
interesting. I believe it.
I do too. I was going to say, I've believed that one ever since I've heard it.
I could totally see like celebrities wanting to go into hiding and like live their life normally for a little while. Like I can't imagine being, I read this article like Jennifer Garner talking about just what it was like to be married to Ben Affleck and have their kids and all that kind of stuff, and how she just like couldn't leave her house.
Oh, I was just illing to the thought of sleeping with Ben Affleck, but
that too.
That too. I wonder if there's like some sort of like welcoming ceremony to these celebrities that have passed on to the Naked Island.
To the Naked Island.
To the Naked Celebrity Island. Like, are they like all wearing like straw like hats and
it's just Elvis Presley singing with his guitar welcoming all of them because he's on that island still alive.
Oh my
as
gosh.
well.
50s 60s version of Elvis Presley, can hang on the naked island, but
Oof,
like 70s fat
absolutely.
Vegas Elvis Presley who died eating a burrito on the toilet, do not want him on the
Okay,
naked
glad I'm
island.
not the only one that heard that conspiracy.
That Elvis died on the toilet. Yes, that is
Yeah.
a classic one. And but I thought it was a bacon, peanut butter, and banana sandwich, which, to be honest, sounds bomb AF. And I would absolutely eat that. So,
We'll have to
No
bring
hate.
that to our Thanksgiving party.
oh my God, there's just going to be nothing but booze and like super unhealthy food. I'm here for it. I have another one. Let me know what you guys think. JonBenet Ramsey didn't die. She grew up to become a famous pop star. Katy Perry.
I believe it.
That was the sound of my
All right,
mind
so
being blown.
Who is JonBenet Ramsey? I don't know that person.
Okay, so on the night of Christmas 1996, a child beauty pageant winner by the name of JonBenet Ramsey was killed in her family home. There was a lengthy and dramatic ransom letter. You can hear her mom talking to 911, and people have discussed at length whether or not, does she really sound convincing or not on this 911 call. So eventually the body of JonBenet was found, I think, in the house. The father found JonBenet's dead body in the basement 8 hours after they had reported her missing. So a lot of different conspiracies. It's still unsolved. To this day, we have not solved who killed JonBenet Ramsey. And a lot of people are thinking that the brother killed her and that the parents freaked out and wrote down this whole, ransom letter and like to try to save the brother because it's like it was an accident. But what if she didn't die and she went on to become Katy Perry? So there is this like 2000 and gosh, I want to say 4, like the very beginnings of YouTube. This person broke down this video that said like if you look at pictures of JonBenet Ramsey and Katy Perry side by side, they look very similar. It could just be because they're both white people. They both are like just white chicks, and then we all just kind of look alike eventually. But they say that their eyebrows are like perfectly the same. They don't think it's weird at all that Katy Perry is 6 years older than JonBenet Ramsey, and that JonBenet as a child was, I guess, hidden for a number of years and then emerged as a pop star. What do y'all think?
This gives me like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt vibes. Like she was
kept her in an
bunker.
underground bunker. Yeah. It's funny though, because Katy Perry started as like a Christian pop star.
Right, exactly.
yeah,
The
that's
Reverend
Yeah.
trained her, taught her some gospel songs.
And then when she finally got exposed to the light of day, she was like, I want to kiss a girl. Which happens to a lot of us after we've been in quarantine for a minute. You come out and you're like, oh God.
Especially if you're in a bunker with only other girls.
I suddenly want to kiss a girl and like it.
Oh, man. That JonBenet Ramsey, talk about another thing when I was a kid that was such a huge deal. I feel like that story was everywhere when I was a kid.
My Favorite Murder has some great episodes about the JonBenet murder, JonBenet Ramsey murder, like, and just breaking down how I'm not really convinced that JonBenet is Katy Perry, by the way. I am convinced that the parents absolutely had something to do with that, though. And I'm kind of convinced that it was the brother after listening to My Favorite Murder. So shout out to my second favorite podcast.
Interesting. I used to watch, like, as a kid, I was really into America's Most Wanted, that show with John Walsh. And I was, like, fascinated by that kind of stuff. And same with Rescue 911.
Oh, Rescue 911.
like really just over dramatic,
Yes.
and unsolved mysteries and all that kind of stuff.
I love
You said
unsolved
Rescue
mysteries.
911, and I thought of Reno 911.
It was similar.
Super dark and mysterious, Reno 911. Got my
No,
new
this is
boots.
This episode of Rescue 911 where like a kid got his pants stuck in an escalator and almost died, like cut off circulation to his leg. And I remember going to the mall after that and just staring at the escalator with like absolute hatred. Like, you will not get me.
I am still like so terrified of elevators, and I have no
Same.
idea. Maybe did something happen in like oh God, what are those movies where everyone dies?
Final
That was
Destination.
super vague. Thank you. Shauna, give the most vague description of a movie possible, but you guys know what's
The
up.
one where everyone dies. It's either Hamlet or Final Destination.
There you go.
Or what's that show? 1,000 Ways to Die.
Oh, I loved 1,000 Ways to Die. Dude, that show was messed up.
God, it was so unrealistic.
I always loved, though, that they always had to make it seem like they were bad people in order to... I'm not sure if any of that was true, but they're always like, Jim liked to kick kittens. This is how he died. It's like, okay, well, now so we don't feel bad that Jim died.
Right.
I wonder if we all, some of those irrational fears, if they come from like alternate lives that we've led. Like in my past life, I was killed on an escalator.
Oh my God,
and
Haley,
so now they
stop
freak me
that
out.
right now.
You don't know.
I'm going to have a bad dream tonight now, and it's going to be about alternate universe Shauna dying in an elevator, plummeting to the death. You know what? Actually, though, I did research this because I was so afraid of elevators. You can fall 4 stories in an elevator and not die. That's the max. 4. Okay. So if you're like if you stay in a hotel and you're like on the 5th floor and that sucker drops, dead. 4 below.
So just stay on the 4th floor under.
You might not be a pancake. You might survive.
Yikes.
Unless you're like a vampire and then you just, roam the night.
Vampires never die. And here is a perfect example of a vampire who is still among us today. You know him from such cult classic films as Face Off and The Rock and Valley Girl and Moonstruck and, of course, Ghost Rider, Wicker Man.
Classic.
You know who I'm talking about.
Classic films.
Kick-Ass.
Nicolas Cage. Oh, I loved him in Kick-Ass.
The one, the only, Nicolas Cage. So I'll tell you real quick my vampire story. I know I made you choose in the beginning, but I can't hold it back because it's just too good.
We need to know.
All right. So years ago, back in 2012, this guy, Jack Mord, hops up on eBay and lists a picture from 1870, a photograph from 1870 of a guy who bears an uncanny resemblance to Nicolas Cage. And he's dressed in Civil War garb. And the description of this picture said, personally, I believe it's Nicolas Cage and that he has come or that he is some sort of Walking Dead vampire, etc., who quickens and reinvents himself once every 75 years or so. 150 years from now, he might be a politician, the leader of a cult, or a talk show host.
You can be all of those in America at the same time.
And it's all vampires. Every single one of them. It's like all Men in Black, like the aliens are all like the people in power.
Martha Stewart's a alien.
Exactly. So he listed this picture for $1 million. It did not sell. He took it down.
It's like, I hope Nicolas Cage bought it.
Well, here's the best, okay? On the one hand, you're like, this is totally ridiculous. This is totally stupid, right? However, in 1988, Nicolas Cage starred in a bizarre movie called Vampire's Kiss, where he plays a business executive who goes on some kinky date with a girl in the bar and then spends the rest of the film convinced that he has turned into a vampire. And throughout the course of the film, it's just him progressively getting crazier and crazier and crazier and completely unhinged. And people say his performance was too radical, too out there.
Dang.
He wouldn't have been able to do it if he had not personally experienced.
Did we ever consider that maybe Nicolas Cage is the greatest actor of our time and that he just totally nailed that role because he can nail anything? Because I'm just... But no, maybe. You're right. He was totally a vampire. That's how he got it. Yep.
Well, so then this spawned a whole thread on Reddit of other people who are dead who look like Nicolas Cage. People found this Emperor Maximiliano I of Mexico and that he looks a lot like Nicolas Cage. And, if it was totally ridiculous, then Cage himself would not have had to go on David Letterman and refute this theory and say that he does not drink blood and that he is not a vampire. I mean,
that sounds like something that a vampire would say, TBH.
Precisely.
You know what I'm starting to think about? I think Nicolas Cage started the whole Naked Celebrity Island and brings them in to become vampires.
Oh
so
my
they can live the rest of
God.
their life. And Nicolas Cage is he's the one vampire, and he's out recruiting people to go into that island.
He's the sire.
He's putting together all these fake deaths because he's a pro at it. He's been dying fake all the time since the beginning of it, apparently. And so
I am
he,
shook.
Is bringing his, recruiting.
Oh my God, this island just keeps getting
Naked
better and
Celebrity
better.
Island.
Like, I get to be naked and a vampire. Like, yes, please.
Twilight rated R.
So cute.
What Nicolas Cage does in the shadows. Dude, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, like, it could be a multiple lives thing. It could be like Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain, where it's just like, different dimensions and we're reincarnated and stuff like that.
About.
But I don't know. I believe it. I believe both things are true. One, he is the greatest actor of our time.
Absolutely.
And two, he is a vampire.
Absolutely. A national treasure who is also a vampire. Oh, yeah. I didn't even do that on purpose. Oh my God. It's all full circle. Oh my God.
Cute.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our conspiracy theories. What do you guys think? Should we continue with this trend next week?
I don't know. I kind of miss pop culture. I really wanted to talk about all the stuff I watched this week.
It's always new, so I don't know. Conspiracies stay conspiracies, but pop culture's popping.
Ooh.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff coming out right now. That new Mighty Ducks show, Godzilla vs. Kong is coming up.
My Hero Academia just dropped this week for their new season.
Question of the day. Conspiracies. Do we pop it or drop it?
I think we drop it, guys.
I think we drop it.
Yeah, we're gonna
drop
have to
it like
let it
it's hot.
go. Flush
Or
it.
drop it like it's cold, like Walt Disney's body.
Drop it like it's cold.
Well, I say pop it, but not for another episode. Just in general, I say pop
For
it.
today.
But then I guess it's decided we will continue to be our pop culture junkies you know and love. So thanks for listening to our experiment of an episode, and we hope you have a great and funny April Fools.
April Fools!
Hey, happy April Fools!
We got you good!
Pop Conspiracy Junkies.